One day, the beautiful Pocahontas had a troubling dream about a spinning arrow. She went to visit her ancient friend, Grandmother Willow, to ask her advice about the dream. She asked Grandmother Willow, "What is my path?" Grandmother Willow told her about the spirits in the earth, water, and the sky. Listen to the spirits and they will guide you. Pocahontas climbed to the top of the tree's branches. She felt the wind blow around her and saw strange white clouds in the distance. The clouds were the sails of a ship that carried strangers to her land. That afternoon, Pocahontas spotted an adventurous man exploring the forest. For some reason, she was drawn to him. She followed him, and he turned to see who was near. John Smith and Pocahontas stared at each other for several minutes. John had never seen such a mysterious and beautiful woman. Pocahontas was scared, but John assured her he was not going to hurt her. Pocahontas did not understand his language, but rather listened with her heart. She introduced herself. "I'm Pocahontas," she said as they shook hands. They began to talk, and soon they bonded in a way that both had never experienced before. John met her friend the raccoon and hummingbird. Pocahontas guided John through her forest home, showing him the gentleness of a mother bear with her cubs. They listened to gray wolves cry and watched eagles fly to the tops of the sycamore trees. John was realizing that people had a lot to learn, and with Pocahontas as his teacher, he began to hear the voices in the mountains and even see colors in the wind. Pocahontas showed him how no one owned the land. Pocahontas went back to her village and showed her friend Nakuma her new friend John Smith. Nakuma was worried, as she had been warned that settlers were dangerous. Pocahontas made Nakuma promise not to tell anyone, as she left to take John to meet Grandmother Willow. Grandmother Willow advised Pocahontas that John was a good soul. Pocahontas was so very happy, and so was John. John left to return to his camp. When he was gone, Grandmother Willow suggested to Pocahontas that perhaps she had found her path. Back in her village, her friend Nakuma sent out a warrior to find John Smith. When Pocahontas returned to her village, the warrior had taken John prisoner. Pocahontas fell to her knees crying. Nakuma was so sorry for what she had done and told Pocahontas, "I am so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing." Pocahontas visited John in the prisoner's teepee. John told Pocahontas, "I would rather die tomorrow than live 100 years without knowing you." Pocahontas needed some help, and she went to visit Grandmother Willow. As she was walking, her raccoon friend gave her a compass he had snuck from John's bag earlier. The compass's arrow was spinning around. "My dream," said Pocahontas. She knew she must return to save John from the warriors. She protected him but he had already been wounded. Heavy-hearted, they both knew he must return home to survive. "We will always be in each other's hearts," they agreed, as they shared a tender kiss goodbye. As Pocahontas watched his ship sail away, the wind touched them both once again. The end. Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess named Snow White. She lived in a castle with her stepmother, a beautiful but wicked queen. The queen was very jealous of Snow White and forced her to work as a servant. Every day, the wicked queen looked into her magic mirror and asked, "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" The mirror usually answered that the queen was the fairest, which pleased her. Meanwhile, Snow White did her chores and made friends with the courtyard doves. One day, a prince heard Snow White singing. He was enchanted by her. The queen saw this and became angry. Then the magic mirror told her that Snow White was the fairest one in the land. The queen was furious. She ordered her huntsman to take Snow White to the forest and do away with her. Snow White was so kind and gentle, the huntsman could not harm her. Instead, he warned Snow White of the wicked queen's plan. He told her to run away. Snow White ran deep into the dark forest, alone and scared. She fell down and began to cry. The woodland animals heard her and came out to comfort her. They told her everything will be all right, and they showed her to a tiny cottage. There were 7 beds in the cottage, with 7 names on them: Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy. Snow White thought to herself, what funny names for children, and laid down on a bed and fell asleep. In the meantime, 7 dwarves were on their way home from a long day at work. When they got home to their cottage, they found Snow White asleep in one of their beds. "Why, it's a girl!" they all said. Snow White woke up and said, "How do you do?" She told them her story of the wicked queen. The dwarf said she could stay with them. Back at the castle, the queen did not know Snow White was still alive when she asked the magic mirror, "Who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror answered, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The wicked queen was angry. "I will find her and poison her." The wicked queen disguised herself as an old woman and headed to the 7 dwarfs' cottage. It was morning and the dwarfs left to go to work, while Snow White was working in the garden. Working away, she saw the old woman, who was really the wicked queen. Snow White said, "Hello," and the old woman offered her an apple from her basket, the poison apple that would put Snow White to sleep forever unless she was kissed by a prince. That was the only way to break the poisonous spell. Snow White accepted the apple and took a bite. She fell to the ground and the old woman ran away. The woodland creatures went to get the dwarfs. The dwarfs could not awaken Snow White, so they built her a glass coffin so they could keep watch over her forever. One day, the prince was riding on his horse through the forest and came upon Snow White in her glass coffin. It was her who he saw singing at the wicked queen's castle. He knelt down and kissed Snow White. She awoke, and the spell was broken. The dwarfs were so happy. Snow White was awake. Snow White thanked the dwarfs for all their help and said they would be best friends forever. The prince asked Snow White to come and live in his castle. Snow White rode off with her prince, and they lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, there was a man and his wife that had wanted a baby for so long, but had never had one. One day, the wife gave her husband the awesome news that they had waited so long for. They were going to have a baby. They lived in a house overlooking a big garden full of fresh vegetables and flowers. Sadly, the garden was protected by a high wall with barbed wire on the top. The mighty witch who lived there wanted no one in her garden. Everyone was very scared of the mighty witch. One day, the wife was so hungry for the fresh radishes. She saw them growing in the witch's garden, but she knew she could not have them. Although she really, really wanted them, she thought she might die if she did not have them. Her husband worried so much about her. She told him, "I think I will die unless I can have some of those radishes that grow in the witch's garden." Her husband waited for nightfall so he could climb over the wall to get her some of the witch's radishes. He got her some and climbed back over. She made a big radish salad, and it made her feel so much better. But she knew she wanted more radishes. So her husband snuck over the wall at night to pick more radishes. As he was climbing back over the wall, the witch was standing right below him. "How dare you steal my radishes?" said the witch. "My wife thought she would die if I did not get them for her. I am very sorry." "If this is true," said the witch, "you can have all the radishes you want, on one condition. You must promise to give me your child to raise as my own." The man was so scared he agreed to whatever she said just to get away. When the beautiful child was born, the witch came and took her away, just as she had threatened. She named her Rapunzel, which means radish. Rapunzel grew more and more beautiful every day, and on her 12th birthday, the witch locked her up in a high tower deep in the woods. The tower had no stairs, no door, only a small window. Rapunzel had beautiful long hair that had never been cut, and when the witch wanted to go up to see her, she would cry, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch would climb up her hair to see her. This went on for years. One day, a prince was riding by the tower and heard Rapunzel singing. He looked at the tower but had no idea how to get in. So he left. But he came by the next day and saw the witch crying, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And he saw the beautiful girl who sang, let down her hair for the witch to climb up to see her. The prince returned at dusk and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel could not believe it when the young prince appeared, and it was not the witch. They fell in love at first sight. They made a plan for Rapunzel to escape. The witch found this out and cut off Rapunzel's hair and hid her away far from the tower. That night, the witch waited for the prince. He cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch threw out Rapunzel's hair, and he climbed up. To his surprise, it was the witch, not Rapunzel. The witch cursed him. "You will never see again." And with that, he was blind. For some time he wandered the forest, hoping to hear Rapunzel singing again. And then, one day, he heard her singing. He followed her voice and found her. They hugged and Rapunzel cried, so happy to see him again. One of her tears fell on his face, and a miracle happened. He could see again. "Oh, I am so happy to see you again," said the prince. And then another miracle happened. Rapunzel's beautiful hair grew back, as long and shiny as it had been. The prince took Rapunzel to his kingdom far away from the witch, where they lived happily ever after. Once upon a time in the city of Paris, a young man lived in the bell tower of the Notre Dame Cathedral. He was strong enough to ring the church bells. He was also very gentle enough to hold small birds in his hands. His only friends were the gargoyles. They did not mind that he had a hunchback and a face so ugly that his evil, cruel master named him Quasimodo, which means half-formed. Quasimodo knew nothing of the world below him. He only knew what his master told him. His master even taught Quasimodo to think of himself as a monster. Quasimodo wanted to join the crowds below him on the streets of Paris so bad, but his master would never let him leave. Quasimodo spent his days carving small wooden figures, wishing he could see the whole world below. Once a year, Paris celebrated the Festival of Fools. The gargoyles convinced Quasimodo to climb down the tower and attend the festival. Everyone wore masks at the festival, so no one would pay attention to Quasimodo's looks. Quasimodo went to the festival and saw the most beautiful gypsy dancer, Esmeralda. The master's newest soldier, Captain Phoebus, saw Esmeralda and also thought she was the most beautiful. All of a sudden, the crowd grabbed Quasimodo and made him king of fools, until they found out his face was not a mask. He was a monster. They tied him down with ropes so he could not escape. Quasimodo begged his master for help, but he refused. All of a sudden, the beautiful gypsy Esmeralda cut Quasimodo free and yelled at his master. "You mistreat Quasimodo like you mistreat my people," Esmeralda said. "You will pay for this," yelled the master, and he ordered his new Captain Phoebus to arrest her. Esmeralda snuck away into the cathedral with her goat. Captain Phoebus found her there and did not want to arrest her. He told her she could claim sanctuary as long as she stayed inside the church. "If she sets one foot outside this church, she will be my prisoner," said the cruel master. Quasimodo and Esmeralda became great friends. Quasimodo was confused because the master had told him how bad gypsies were, but Esmeralda was kind and good. And she did not think Quasimodo was a monster at all. "I think the master is wrong about both of us," said Esmeralda. Quasimodo helped her plan her escape. Quasimodo carried Esmeralda and her goat down the church walls to the street one night. She gave Quasimodo a special amulet and said, "Use this if you ever need help. It will show you how to find the Court of Miracles, the secret gypsy hideout." She promised she would visit Quasimodo again and kissed him on the cheek. When Esmeralda returned, she brought Captain Phoebus, who had been badly wounded. "The master attacked us, and Captain Phoebus tried to help. Please help him get well." Quasimodo agreed and hid the captain in the bell tower. The master still wanted to find the gypsies and thought Quasimodo might know where to find them all in their secret hideaway. The master tricked Quasimodo and told him he knew where the secret hideaway was, and he would attack the gypsies at dawn with 1,000 of his soldiers. This was just a trick by the cruel master. Quasimodo and Captain Phoebus decided they must use the special amulet to find Esmeralda and warn her. They secretly made their way to the Court of Miracles, but they had no idea the master and his soldiers were secretly following them. Quasimodo and Captain Phoebus led them to the secret gypsy hiding place. "Take them all away," the cruel master yelled to his soldiers. "No, please," begged Quasimodo. But the master had a heart of stone. The next day, the master had chained up Quasimodo in the bell tower and was going to punish Esmeralda in the courtyard below. Quasimodo broke his chains and rescued Esmeralda and brought her to safety in the bell tower. The master tried to break into the tower with his soldiers, but the gargoyles beat the master and his men. At last, the master's evil reign was over. The people of Paris cheered. Hip hip hooray for Quasimodo! Finally, Quasimodo understood he was not a monster at all. But to the people of Paris, he was a great hero.